Since October 1st, 2021, Medifast dropped over 52%, generating a 28% annualized loss, turning $10,000 into $4,841. Hello, everybody. This is Chuck Carnevale, co-founder of FastGraphs, the Fundamentals Analyzer software tool. I've got a subscriber request video that I'm doing here this week, or today, actually, because I've been asked about Medifast. Now, last week I did an update on MPW, Medical Properties Trust, the REIT, that's a very high-yielding REIT. And I pointed out in that video that I would not do updates less than 3 to 5 years. And I'm standing true to my word, because I also said I would only do an update if things dramatically changed. And since I first did my video, I did a video on October 4th, 2021 on Medifast when the stock appeared to be extremely undervalued at the time. And the bottom line is it was undervalued, and it looked undervalued for the next year or two. But things did change. The fundamentals changed dramatically. So in the spirit of I will only do an update video if something dramatically changes to the fundamentals of the business, where the story is totally different and it's not just the price changing, then I'm going to do an update. So let's take a look at what's happened since I did the first video. So let's go ahead and go in here. I did a Word document here where I took a screenshot of the video, what Medifast looked like on October 4th, 2021. And you could see the stock looked extremely undervalued, and the company is expected to grow earnings by 17% and 12%. Now, one thing I want to point out, this company is not very widely followed. There's only one analyst actually that's following this stock. And so I've kind of updated this. I've just shortened the time frame so you can see it more clearly. So we had some pretty strong earnings growth expected for the company. But what happened was, if I go now into the actual live fast graph, it came in at a disappointing only 4% growth in 2022. And remember, analysts were expecting 17%. So that put further pressure, on the stock. When I first did the video in October of 2021, right around here, okay, the stock did look undervalued at that time, but it was based on higher earnings forecasts. But yet it still looked undervalued even for the next year and even possibly the next 2 years. Now, for this year, they expect earnings to fall by over 42%. Okay, and the stock is down dramatically. And the problem is, if I look at forecasting, there's only one analyst, and we're not getting a lot of forecast data. And I don't get any long-term growth. If I check Yahoo estimates and look at Yahoo expects the next 5 years to be 20% growth. In other words, they're expecting recovery. So if I go into my custom calculator here and I enter 20% growth and draw it and then add the most recent estimates in, this is what the graph starts to look like now. So it's clearly going to have a down year this year, expected another 10% down next year. Then if earnings grow by 20% a year after that, this could be a very attractive long-term investment here, if you will. In other words, the company, going from, its current value going forward. But it would obviously be a very high returning. In other words, the stock at $93 would, be trading at something like $283 by 2029. That would be the expectation. Now, whether that's practical or realistic or not is to be determined. But let's talk about what happened. So I'm going to first of all go into my external links here, and I'm going to go into the corporate website, and I'm going to go into the investor relations section for you. And what I'm going to look at here is events and presentations. And I'm going to go into the most current events and presentations. I'm going to download the actual slide presentation for you so that you can, see what's happening. So here is the Medifast Q2 2023 earnings presentation. And I want to talk about essentially what happened to the company. And they give you your basic earnings reports here. Okay, but what really happened to this company was the GLP-1, the semi-glutide drugs were a factor here that was not seen when those estimates were first being made in October of 21. Anyone who's followed this knows that, this Ozempic, I think it's called, the drug for treating diabetes, turned out to have this tremendous weight loss situations. And now they've recently reported that it's very healthy for the heart. So these drugs have become very, very popular. Now, Medifast has been a popular weight loss company based on the fact that they had, their Optiva, which is a kind of a counseling, a schooling for people to help them change their lifestyle and become, better at living their lives so that they don't get obese again and they don't gain, weight again. And so the Optavia brand has been a very important brand for theirs. But now today they're talking about doing some telemedicine deals and getting involved with possibly participating in the semaglutide type drugs that are helping people lose all this weight. But I want to make something important. I don't think this company's over. Now, this company, does not have a credit rating, but it only has 8.7% debt. And up until these semaglutide type drugs came in, the first what I would call really effective weight loss drugs that we've ever seen, there's been a lot of pretenders out there. That really had an impact. It's become very hard for them to get customer acquisitions. But once these people come off of these drugs, and these drugs, as I understand them, are relatively expensive, they're going to have to still do their, redo their lifestyle changes. They're going to go back, to having the problems they had before they went on the drugs. Obesity is still a very big problem in this country. And I'm not talking about cosmetics. I'm not talking about people looking prettier. I'm talking about the health concerns that obesity brings to people. And that's why I think one thing where these drugs have, reduced the incidence of heart disease to people that have successfully gone through, the weight loss using these drugs is because they are no longer as vulnerable to having heart conditions that, come with high blood pressure and other things that obesity tends to bring with us. It's certainly not a healthy situation for people to be in. Now, what happens to Medifast going forward? Your guess is as good as mine. But I think if they're successful in pulling this off, management is fully aware of the problem, and they're going to. This is a 40-year-old company that has primarily been a great growth stock. But I do want you to note, if I max this graph out here, this stock has gone through very significant bouts of volatility. They just start paying a dividend in 2015, and that dividend has grown very fast. So far, the dividend is staying intact. I don't know what's going to happen going forward. The company does have a strong balance sheet. They have a pretty substantial amount of cash, I believe over $140 million. Their operating cash flow seems to be covering their dividend quite well, although it's expected to drop, coming up here in the next year or so. So there's a lot to be determined of what's going to happen. Their free cash flow also, looks like it could be covering the dividend, although it didn't cover the dividend in 2021. The point I'm getting at is this was primarily presented as a growth stock. Things have changed. In the spirit of John Maynard Keynes, when the facts change, I change my mind, sir. What do you do? Well, I'm looking at this stock totally differently now than I did in October of 2021. The fundamentals have changed. The question is now, at today's valuation, I want you to notice that the stock is recovering. Okay, the price has begun to move up off of its all-time low set on June of 2023 of this year. It has recovered. It had a strong day yesterday. I think it's down a little bit today, or this video will be produced tomorrow. Yeah, it's down about 1% today, so it's been a little volatile. It's always been a volatile stock. It's really hard to say what's going to happen. The current dividend yield is over 7%. If they maintain that dividend, then this could be a great time to buy this stock. We have to see what management's going to say. I think this stock warrants waiting for another quarter or two of information to come out to see what transpires as far as the things they're going to do to regrow their business again. Anyway, this is a case where the fundamentals did change dramatically, and it was a surprise. It was a game-changing event that wasn't in play when I did the first video or when the analysts were first forecasting earnings, because technically up until last year, this company's had a pretty decent earnings scorecard. And when they did miss, they missed by very low margins most of the time. So where are we at now? We're at a company offering what appears to be a very high dividend, but there's a great deal of uncertainty. No analyst is even forecasting a dividend for next year. That doesn't mean there won't be one, because there's only one analyst following the company. Anyway, this is my update on Medifast. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been Chuck Carnevale, a.k.a. Mr. Valuation. When the facts change, you do need to change your mind. That's why ongoing vigilance and due diligence is so extremely important when you're dealing with stocks. And it's why diversification is so important. You would never want to put all your eggs in one basket. You want to have a diversified portfolio. And if you run into a Medifast or a company like that, you can cut your losses or make your decision, redeploy the money into another, say, safer investment you have better conviction in. But right now, there's a lot of uncertainty in this stock. But I do think it's a very healthy company that has an opportunity to turn itself around, but only time will tell. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and subscribe to Fast Graphs, because I wouldn't even think about investing in stocks without it. Thanks for watching.